Hey everybody, welcome to So Many Sequels, your book club for movies. I'm Josh.
Netflix.
I was going to say when we mean business, but you'd already said it.
I'm coming in hot. They don't need to know my name though. I'll keep that a secret.
No. So this is basically a special episode, an emergency episode, if you will. Although we're not recording it on any kind of emergency schedule.
No, we're busy. We ain't got that kind of time.
But we're only talking about one thing.
Get paid enough for that.
We're only talking about one thing today, and it is Netflix's announcement that they will be purchasing, pending government approval, Warner Brothers, all of Warner Brothers Discovery for $83, give or change, $billion. I know I have to say it because it is technically true that regulators have to approve it. And I will say, you could go deep into the conspiratorial rabbit hole of this, but there is reason, I believe, to argue that there could be a block simply because Paramount also wants to own this piece of the pie, and Larry Ellison, owner of Paramount, is a good friend of the president, and that could cause it to be blocked. So corruption would be it.
What a shocker!
That would be the only reason it might be blocked.
American way.
And a lot of people believe, and I don't know, I could be argued either way, but a lot of people say Netflix is at least not as bad as Paramount as an option for purchasing Warner Brothers. I don't know.
I mean, is it like it's a situation where it's like two parallel universes, big bad? I don't think they're that much different.
It's hard to say.
Hey, one A, one B. You know.
We're either fighting Thanos or we're fighting Doctor Doom. It's like, okay, well,
right.
Because
fight a supervillain.
I think Paramount is bad at making money in movie theaters, and Netflix just doesn't want to. And so, and Warner Brothers would like to do that.
I think they would, yeah.
Well,
they've been very good at it this year.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about, this is going to be a very random and sporadic episode, but over the course of this year, we have talked about the success that Warner Brothers has had in releasing new and original content. And what does Netflix need to survive? It's new and original content. And in my truthful opinion, they haven't been able to do that since, I'll give them Squid Game. I'll give them Squid Game. But beyond that, Stranger Things. And I don't feel like they have been able to generate anything that is really worth it for quite a while.
Netflix has, when Netflix has built its, that's the thing. Netflix's original content has always been something that they could lose on because they had they were able to buy the streaming rights to so many other things that people actually want to watch. So anything that was and a lot of stuff that was technically original Netflix stuff was stuff that their original shows, House of Cards, right? Stranger Things. Like Stranger Things was kind of a real original thing. I think they had one of their first original Netflix originals was like Hemlock Grove or something. And that was actually like a British show they brought
Orange
over.
is the New Black. They were cranking out some really good and quality content.
Even their Marvel television stuff they had a long time ago with Daredevil, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, that stuff was all really popular. But Netflix always kneecapped their own stuff by having this sort of weird, like with the exception of Stranger Things and maybe, did House of Cards get a 4th season? Like almost everything got capped at like 3 seasons at max. So, and I remember back then they had some kind of, I remember reading a Netflix CEO years ago had some kind of thing where they were like, we can tell algorithmically that most people don't watch past the 4th episode of a show. Like they'll watch the first 3 episodes and then most of the people won't go past 4 episodes. So we're not really worried about making 20 episode seasons or 30 episode seasons or going to like an 8 season run for a show because most people aren't going to watch that much unless you're doing like Stranger Things where you put so much time between each season that it feels like a new thing every time.
And see, I feel like everyone else wants to tell a story. Like what you just said is it. It's like they know algorithmically speaking, people will stop watching after the 4th episode and and everyone else is just like, I'm just writing the story and hope people get into the story. I feel like they're the only ones. I know they're not, but I feel like they're the ones who most publicly and proudly only care about metrics
They
Yes.
put so much into their reality programming because of that, as opposed to creating quality content. They don't mind being the ones that is on in the background. Why? Because then it gives them that value. If you think about what really the Netflix is, it is the white noise that you pay $25 a month for. It is the stuff that you just put on in the background when you're doing 90 other things and you need something else to fill that space. And at this point in time, they're not giving me enough value. And that's why, and they're raising the prices. And they see that. And Netflix has always been smart. They are really, really smart as a business. And what this tells me is that Netflix knows that they are not able to create quality content
I think it's an admission
on
of
their
that.
own.
I agree.
They can't do it. There was a quote that I saw from some of them that was like, "Oh, we've always been builders, not buyers. You built a great structure, and you have become essentially the Facebook of these streamings, where you came up with the idea, and other people were able to really do this and develop good content. You, at some point in time, stopped doing that. And then when you did try to put the quality content out there, it didn't get the respect."
Yeah.
And now I just feel like you're burn it to the ground at this point in time.
Well-
Don't put anything in theaters. Take everything up. Have a huge library of everything. And then have the Warner Brothers team start creating the original content because they can.
Yeah, well, I mean, you also have to consider that, first of all, that old quote is bogus because they've always been buyers. They've been buying streaming
Right.
rights to
Exactly.
projects for years. And here's the other thing that happened is from whenever they started, 2009, I think they technically started in the 90s, but from the moment they started digital streaming through 2019, let's say, they were the only game in town. They were a destination. They were a hack for movie lovers and for people who, maybe TV lovers as well, where it's like, yeah, I go to the movies and then I do have a Netflix subscription so I can catch up on the stuff that I miss in the movies, right? And it was a great little program for everybody, great little platform. It was a destination. You didn't mind necessarily that you couldn't get a DVD of whatever the show was because you had Netflix, so you could get it there. Then, sort of moving into 2019 and into the pandemic, every one of those everybody who used to sell them their content for, started creating their own platforms. Disney Plus, Peacock, Paramount Plus, Amazon Prime really starts to pick up its steam. Apple starts to pick up steam. So now everybody's pulling their content, not entirely. You can still see other people's stuff on Netflix, but they pull large chunks of the content that used to be on Netflix off. And now Netflix is like, not only are they struggling to make their own original content, they have they have a smaller library than they used to have. So they're pulling stuff from other countries in. They started doing that in the mid teens as well. And so this is also not just a reason to purchase for new content, but to just purchase a library of things. Now they can say,
Right.
yeah, we have all the Turner Classic Movies. Yeah, we have all of the HBO library. Yeah, we have classic films from the 40s, 50s, and 60s. Like, they have Warner Brothers' entire library to work with, and any new things like the DCU or the Harry Potter franchise or
Yeah.
Big Bang Theory, if they want to make, whatever more spin-offs of that show they want to do. They can do all that stuff. So, they started seeding some ground. AP has a nice little graph here of, even with the new streamers coming in, Netflix was still holding about 20% of the market share in terms of streaming. Max had about 13%. So now combined here in the next few years over time, as those two properties combine, HBO Max and Netflix, they're going to own about 30% of the overall market. As Disney melds more with Hulu, they'll have about a quarter of the overall market. So I'd be shocked if in the next few years, because we'll get into the other things that I think they're the predictions down the line of what I think could happen. But I'd be shocked if like an Amazon or an Apple does not try to get in on this and buy one of these other major studios to do this exact same thing, or Paramount, because Paramount wanted Warner Brothers. So
Yeah, Paramount still wants it and might launch a hostile bid. They might try to get the White House to intervene. there's a lot of different ways that this could go. Probably none of it necessarily
Truthfully,
predictable.
This is a time when I do hope the White House does intervene and does block. Obviously, this is I don't see this as a net positive. One of the things that I had you talk about how much the share Netflix has, and a lot of it is so many people have Netflix for so long, and it's become just a thing, right? And it's for me, looking at it from our perspective of this podcast, like, what do? We do themes and we bring movies to the table. And I mentioned this in our little Discord chat, which, you should go join our Discord. But, we have been paying for so long these streamers. And when we come up with these themes, the first thing we typically do is check the streamers and see what is there. And usually it's something that we're familiar with, as opposed to challenging ourselves and looking for something. Because if it's not on a streamer and you want to go rent it, it's like an extra $4. And you're like, oh, I'm already paying $20 for Netflix and $5 for this and $10 for this. And I don't want to pay an extra $4. Well, here, let me help you. Cancel your Netflix account, because is it really worth it at this point in time to have $50 a month for white noise? Or would you like to try to buy something new or look at something new and rent something? Because a digital rental is only $3
and this,
$3 to $4.
Yeah, this is usually I usually make my pick if it's streaming, so that I don't send you guys basically I'm not sending you guys like a $4 bill or
Right.
more, because I'm like oh, this is I want to watch this movie. Oh, you got to rent it. I'm like, I don't want to tell Josh and Garrett they have to rent something.
Yeah,
so I'll try to find something that's
listen,
easier.
I am at the point where it is not. I can't.
I'm fine.
I haven't seen anything that wants me to buy a Netflix account. I haven't had one in a little while, and I don't miss it, y'all. There's nothing. Yeah, I would like to see Stranger Things. Yeah, I would like to see Frankenstein. Yeah, I would like to see something else that recently came out and a couple of other things. But you know what? None of those things are going to make me get
You could do all
an
of them at
account
once.
where I have to pay. I don't want to, though, because I know that I don't have the time in my life to do that. Even if I wanted to, I wouldn't have the time, just because life is busy. And so to set up an account and then know that it's going to be X amount a month that's just going to auto take, and then I got to go through 27 different hoops just to cancel it, probably. And they don't make it easy because they don't want you to cancel it, because at the end of the day, it's like, is it really that big of a deal? Yes! It's a lot of money that is being thrown out of the door. And with grocery prices rising, again, is that $27.99 worth it?
Not rising. They're falling. Grocery prices falling.
Right. People have to start making a choice, and like the choice is money.
Yeah,
it's going to be financial based at this point in time.
Let's talk about the primary fears, because this has been a big talking point over on, any social media platform, but specifically, I like to hang out on Threads these days, so you can find me there. But one of the two big talking points, and Netflix has addressed both of these more or less, but is Warner Brothers and theatrical
They're
releases.
very trustworthy.
Right. Well, they're trustworthy on things that we don't want them to do. Theatrical releases for Warner Brothers films, will those continue? They've more or less said that they will honor the existing contracts they already have with various theaters, but their long-term goal is shorter theatrical windows. So I'm guessing like a month maybe. And then physical media, because like Netflix does not, for the most part, make DVDs, Blu-rays for any of their stuff. I think they made a season 1 of Daredevil one time, which was hard to find. So like that, those are the major concerns. So let's talk about that. What do you guys think is going to be the future of Netflix and theatrical releases? And have you guys seen any of the talk back and forth with this online?
Yeah, I've seen some of the talk. I'm very skeptical that they would continue to release Warner Brothers films in theaters.
I think that they will do it, but I will think they will treat it like a Knives Out situation, where they will be sporadic, they will be incredibly limited, and it will be here and there. Because, they're not going to give. I don't see any reason they would give AMC anything. They don't want AMC. They see AMC as a rival, not a partner. So I see no reason why they would take them into consideration.
I think that's the true issue. Is I do view Netflix as a real like aggressor, a hostile actor in the industry. They don't act as a partner with people. They do seem uninterested in that kind of thing. Like, yes, they see theatrical distribution as a competitor, so they want to eliminate
Right.
them. I fear the same about physical media. I think they'll say, why would we want to print it on physical media so that they wouldn't watch it on Netflix? No, we hope that you go out of business too. Like, I do think that would have to be their ultimate business plan.
I actually think that they would release 1 to 2 seasons, depending on how many seasons that show has on DVD, just to get your appetite wet, and then they wouldn't
possible,
release
too.
anymore. I think they release a couple of seasons, just like they do like the 3-episode drop. Well, they're actually not 3-episode droppers. They just do the whole thing. But like, I think they would release a couple and then entice you to, if you really want this, you got to get Netflix.
I mean, and that would be at least something more than they've done before. The big
No,
concern.
I would, but I would actually hate that more because again, that is just like
Now you'd have a
that
complete
is
collection.
keeping that's bait. That's like bait on a hook, you know.
Yeah.
At that point in time,
No, but-
they know what they're doing and they're just teasing it at you.
No, but that makes sense at least as a business model to me. I mean,
Yeah.
not that I would
Yeah,
want
as a
it.
business model,
Again,
for
I don't
sure.
want it, but it makes sense. Like that's a way they could use. I mean, but it's not even just new releases. So like, yes, obviously, you know, if we can even get like something resembling the first Glass Onion, where like they at least put that in like 600, 700
Oh,
theaters.
the same thing will happen
Or
to Warner Brothers movies that happen. You know, when Disney purchased Fox, a ton of 20th Century Fox movies just disappeared.
yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of them got canceled.
They're not
Yeah,
on
and
streaming
then-
services, and there's no physical releases. And the same
Yeah.
thing will happen here. A lot of Warner Brothers releases will probably just disappear.
Yeah, and I mean it's new releases I'm worried about, but also just old movies. Like,
Exactly,
you know,
a lot of them
we,
will
we,
be old
we won't get
movies.
reprints, or we won't get new copies of older movies going out on DVD or Blu-ray, whatever. You know, so that's a big concern. It's kind of hard to imagine that they would take what have historic. I mean, okay, let's just narrow it down to like their big franchises, right? We're looking at like the DC movies, and we're looking at like Harry Potter or something like that. To take films that historically have been major tentpole blockbusters, and just be like, yeah, we'll give you like a weekend release you know, just so we can be considered for awards or something, and then you're gonna have to watch it at home. And like a lot of people have
Yep.
nice setups at home. That's great. Somebody once said that, or I saw somebody on Thread say something like, or no, it was the head of Netflix, CEO of Netflix, said that theaters are an outdated model. And I'm like, even if I wanted to give you the idea that the theater distribution is outdated, even if I wanted to give you that theaters are too much money these days, that the prices of going to the theater are too much for the average person,
Sure.
it's still a $7 to $8 billion a year industry. It's still a place, a destination that
Well, and
millions of people go every year to see movies, and
I
they
just
pay
find
money
it
to see
such
them.
a soulless thing to say it like that, though. You know,
Yeah.
it's
No,
not.
it is.
Theaters are not an outdated model. The theater experience is not ideal. I agree with that. There's a lot of updates that I think should be made. But to say that the theater is an outdated model is like saying that concerts are an outdated model for music, and just like being in community to experience art is an outdated model is bullshit. That's not. No. No.
Well, and I also wouldn't be surprised. Again, we have lost the idea of less is more, and for Netflix to be able to take all of these things, and I don't necessarily know if they'll cancel everything, but I wouldn't be surprised if once every couple of weeks they tried to get some kind of blockbuster release to get, because the problem with this model is you consistently have to keep people there. Like, that's all Netflix wants you to do, is to stay inside and stay on their platform so it feels like you're getting the value out of it. And there's no other reason for them to release something outside of that. No. They will have commercials, they'll have all of this. They might release it in a few theaters. They might open a few Netflix theaters just so they can release their own stuff in the Netflix theaters to be allowed to be seen for Oscars and stuff like that.
And
they are trying to really limit every single thing just to their bubble that they
profits.
fully control. Yeah.
And can I say that is my next prediction? Beyond any other studios purchasing another studio or anything like that, this has recently become a legal option. I can foresee Netflix or another major studio purchasing a theater chain, whether that's a Regal, a Cinemark, an AMC. AMC feels like the least likely just because it's the largest, but one of these things is going to happen. There, maybe not in the next year, but in sometime in the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to see a studio buy a movie theater chain, giving themselves the ability to take 100% of their own profit intake, giving other studios an option to run movies in their theater, probably taking a higher percentage of, or at least some. I mean, even if they don't even take a higher percentage, just imagine if Disney could take 15% of whatever movie gets put in their theater. Like that'd be they'd probably, it's like it's bank for them no matter what. I think that will happen. I do think it's going to be interesting when you pull if we go, if it's like nuclear option and Warner Brothers decides that they're putting, or Netflix decides we're only going to put like 5 movies in theaters a year, and they're going to have limited runs. What that does mean is that the theatrical marketplace opens up tremendously for Disney, Paramount, Sony, Universal. All of a sudden, there's not as much competition because Warner Brothers isn't going to put a movie out every other weekend anymore. Now, all of a sudden, it's like, hey, we got more room to claim here. We can put more movies out for longer. Maybe that happens. You do have Disney, which they would like you to go to Disney Plus, but they're still putting out physical releases. They're still putting out theatrical. Disney committed, like last year, it was Inside Out 2, Guardians of the Galaxy. They gave those long theatrical runs. So, like, the opportunity's here for these other ones to really make some good PR on this if they're smart. Of like, no, we're committed.
I actually prefer the Disney takeover model that they have been implementing where, if they're going to do something, get rid of the physical media aspect of it. They're going to release their movies in theaters, not release any physical media, and then make you get their Disney Plus because that's the only other way to watch it. I would still rather have stuff come out in theaters if that's the case, and then go online.
I agree with you. I would, if I had to pick, I'd rather lose physical because I just really am very adamant that that movies are a communal experience and should be as often as they can be. And the reaction across the industry has not really been positive, I would say. I really haven't seen a lot. I don't even know if you could say mixed. It seems like it's been fairly negative.
Yes.
I haven't met one person in person or online who has been like, this is a great idea. Love this.
From fans, just general fans, to folks who work in the industry, to the professional labor unions like the Directors Guild, the Producers Guild, and the Writers Guild have all put out statements expressing extreme concern. I know David's got some quotes from some of them, but they're all working on this. Christopher Nolan is president of the Directors Guild. I know he plans to sit down with the Netflix team, and I don't know. I don't know what kind of power these guilds actually have. The Writers Guild. They
can all go on strike. The entire Hollywood industry can just go on strike. And honestly, I'm here for that. Throw the whole damn thing into chaos.
It's not so much a strike, really just a boycott, just a refusal to work, a blacklist, a refusal to work with Netflix on their projects, which kind of would suck in some ways.
Honestly, that would be great. I'm in favor of this takeover now. If it ends in that. If it ends in everyone boycotting Netflix, then
everything except for my Superman movies. Please keep this.
No, boycott them.
Buy Superman.
James Gunn, boycott Netflix.
Buy Superman.
Christopher Nolan, please buy Superman.
Buy American. What are a couple of the quotes from these that kind of explain what is their concern from the professional perspective?
Let's start off with Michael O'Leary. He's the CEO of Cinema United. Cinema United, for those who may not know, is the largest exhibition trade organization in the world, so representing pretty much the movie theaters themselves. And he said that Netflix's stated business model does not support theatrical exhibition. In fact, it is the opposite. Theaters will close, communities will suffer, jobs will be lost. Producers Guild of America released a statement saying, as we navigate dynamic times of economic and technological change, our industry, together with policymakers, must find a way forward that protects producers' livelihoods. A lot of people concerned that, there's a lot of jobs, potential loss. I mean, Warner Brothers themselves employ a lot of people. If they decrease their output, that's going to have a big impact. Several lawmakers have weighed in, both Republicans and Democrats, that are not necessarily thinking this is a good thing, because this is just more consolidation and more monopoly of things. Writers Guild of America has said the world's largest streaming company swallowing one of its biggest competitors is what antitrust laws were designed to prevent. The outcome would eliminate jobs, push down wages, worsen conditions for all entertainment workers, raise prices for consumers — we haven't even talked about that — and reduce the volume and diversity of all content for all viewers. This merger must be blocked.
Right.
And then I don't have the DGA statement, but I can look for that here in a second.
I think they said fuck Netflix. I think that's what Garrett was quoting at the beginning of the episode.
I was really surprised that the Professional Golfers Association came out with a statement. That surprised me.
I know. Came out swinging.
Well, here's a good one. This is Jason Kilar, former Warner Media
Producers
CEO,
Guild.
former Warner Media CEO, and former Hulu and a co-founder of Hulu. He said, "If I was tasked with doing so, I could not think of a more effective way to reduce competition in Hollywood than by selling Warner Brothers to Netflix."
I would agree.
Yeah. I mean, it is, and that is again, I can't escape it enough that this is what was intended to not happen. However, it is going to happen because of the system that we have elected in place. That we have all one power, one mighty. You are great if you just squish everyone else like a bug and take them out, so you can have everything.
A broader lesson for everybody, the whole audience. Everything that is happening now was designed not to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just putting that out there.
We talked about this, I think, somewhat recently. Maybe we're off podcast for this, but we talked about, like, they made laws that you couldn't do this kind of stuff. There were whole presidents in the 10s and 20s.
The Paramount Decree, like, they really did stuff. Like, the fact that there's not... They drew a line between exhibition and production for a reason. And the fact that they can't do the same thing now between streaming and production. Like, if you can either own a streamer or you can own a studio. You can't do both. That's how it should be.
Yep.
That's my last thought on the matter.
I think that's a good mic drop moment there. I think that's fair, because if you are the only one who is writing, creating, producing, and distributing,
if you
there's
do it all,
no other choice at that point in time. No. That is what I mean. I don't want to choose Netflix. That's why I don't have one.
Yeah.
I've chosen the others.
No,
and the people making these films shouldn't have to. Well, I guess Netflix is going to be the only one to make our movie.
Right.
Like,
and
there's A24's out there.
There's a point too that was made, which is that, like, the cost is going to go up for the consumer. Like, there's no way they can make this acquisition and not justify to themselves charging more money.
Right.
For the product.
And that's where I think it's going to be a dangerous. Like, it sounds good, but, like, are you being a collective whoever's listening, are you willing to pay $50-$60 a month again, like you did for cable at the moment? And then knowing in 2 to 3 years, you're going to be paying $100+. Like, this is, you're going to be paying more than $100 a month for Netflix in the next 2 to 3 years.
It's the same cycle. It is the exact same cycle that happened with cable. Like, it wasn't expensive in the beginning either. Consolidated, bundled, and then they're paying $200 a month for cable and satellite. That is probably, and then the rise in piracy will come back. We're just going to repeat. All we do is repeat what we've already done.
Everything is cyclical.
Idiots. Yep.
And yet somehow
we never learn.
And yet somehow the horrors persist.
Yep.
Anyway, I think that'll do it for this episode of the show. Special Netflix rant.
Great
Shout
title
out
right
to Ted
there.
Sarandos. What?
I said that was a great title right there.
Oh, perfect. There's the title for the episode.
It's the Great Christmas Netflix Rant, Charlie Brown.
Stay tuned throughout the rest of the month for happier episodes as we discuss so many Santa's movies.
Yeah.
Holiday films throughout the month. We are kicking things off with A Very Jonas Christmas on Disney Plus. Speak of the other devil. It's always a streaming service, but that's just how it is these days. That's okay.
Yep.
We'll figure it out. But yeah, we got so many Santa's movies coming up all month long. So go to SoManySequels.com, subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you get podcasts, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Soon to be Netflix podcasts.
What are they gonna? What do they pay? I'm open to listening.